If D is an integrable Dirac structure, then the smooth distribution G1 is integrable, and hence defines a singular Fourier geometry. How do I do this? I apply Hermann's theorem. Remember, if it was locally finitely generated, then I can use algebraic evolutivity, not Stefan Sussman. So we know that G1 is algebraically evaluable. It is also locally finitely generated. Each point has a neighbor, but I remind what this is, such that gamma in G is finitely generated as a module. Okay, why? Indeed, since D is a vector subbundle, every point is a neighborhood, such that this is generated by a basis of sections. It's a bundle, has local sections, right? Then the first component of the sections generate this. Apply Hermann, then finish. Okay. Here is the analog of the stratification theorem of Poisson geometry. A closed Dirac structure decomposes as the disjoint union of leaves of a generalized foliation, all of them being presymplectic. And the closed Dirac structure of each leaf, defined by this presymplectic form, coincides with the restriction of the given Dirac structure of this leaf. Right? Remember, Poisson geometry. We had a bracket, we had symplectic leaves. The symplectic leaf was symplectic and has its own Poisson structure. But this Poisson structure coincided with the restriction of the Poisson structure on the big manifold to the leaf, the Poisson submanifold. Same here. The only difference is they're not symplectic, they're presymplectic. That's all I'm doing. They're degenerate. The omega is degenerate, but it's closed. That's what presymplectic means. So closed Dirac structure decomposes as a disjoint union of leaves of a generalized foliation. Each such leaf is a presymplectic structure, has a presymplectic structure. Being presymplectic, it defines the Dirac structure, is the flat map. That Dirac structure coincides with the restriction of the Dirac structure to the leaf. Everything is consistent. Okay, so this is the structure theorem for the closed Dirac structures. Again, I repeat, you don't have anything like this in non-closed Dirac structures. And that's the problem, because for applications you don't know only mechanics, you don't have anything of this type. So, how do we do this? I'm going to try to imitate the linear case, literally. So, I take flat at the point x, I take the projection of the first factor of d, which I know is the dual of the other one, and here I write u flat to what it is equal to. Right? Alpha on the projection of this. And I know that I want this alpha to be such that u alpha to be in the Dirac structure. So I look at the curve, right? Remember the second lecture, the first lecture we did this. The curve of flat must be the annihilator of the projection of the second factor. Right? So it's not so difficult to guess what the form should be. I find omega x on uv to be omega flat on u on v. Right? And here, u and v are here, and they are defined in g on x, but here, because I assume that one of them is a subordinate, I can do it pointwise and not in terms of sections. That's why I remind you here that till life is easy, I can do it pointwise. Okay, what does this mean? This is, if and only if omega x of uv is just alpha of v, because that's what I defined for any u alpha and any v beta. But if I pair u alpha with v beta, I get 0 because I'm on the Dirac structure. But what is this equal to? This is this. So that means that omega x uv is equal to this with a minus sign. So I write it down. Forget this symbol. It's equal literally to this. This shows that omega is the pullback of by the inclusion of the smooth skew-symmetric bilinear form, this one, to D. So omega is skew-symmetric. Okay. Okay, if I take V in Txm to be tangent to the leaf, that means that there exists an alpha such that V and alpha, the pair of alpha, is the Dirac structure. So let's work on an arbitrary leaf. So I take xi and yi, alpha I, to be local sections, and let me compute x1. I want to show it's closed, right? Let me show x1, omega, x2, x3. Right, so I write it down. So this omega x2, x3 is just the pairing of alpha 2 with x3. This is the derivative of this function. It commutes to contractions, I wrote it down. Okay? And omega of x2 with x3, x1 is just alpha 2 with this. Therefore, if I look at this plus this, I'm getting this. So what do I get? This is what I'm interested in. The omega x1, x2, x3. Well, so I write the formula, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? The formula how to compute. The d of the 2 form. Right. Look, this plus this is this. So they come in pairs, so I get this. But this is exactly the condition to be closed. To be zero. Exactly. So each leaf is pre-symplectic. Okay. The restricted Dirac structure to the leaf is done pointwise. If n inside of n is a leaf of G1, then for every x in n, there is a naturally induced linear Dirac structure on the final. I apply the linear theorem, so I know that the structure has an associated flatness. The original one, namely, because I know that it's from the linear theory, and the Txn is pre-symplectic relative to the associated 2 form. So I'm done, I'm finished. This is it. Hence the restricted Dirac structure on n coincides with the Dirac structure that is given by the pre-symplectic. Okay. I should show you this theorem. This is an interesting theorem. How much can you do in general? Not much. This is the best theorem I know. It's a theorem of Jean-Pierre Dufour-D'Issalat. It's quite recent, as you can see, 2008. I'm not even sure if I have a clear even later. So they managed to do a local theorem. So I need a preparatory theorem and then the real theorem. So, of course, if it's not integrable, there is nothing I can do. So I take D to be an integrable Dirac structure. I know then that G1 is a smooth integrable distribution because leaves are pre-symplectic manifolds. Previous theorem. Done. Theorem. If the pre-symplectic leaf through x0 is a point, then there is a neighborhood U of x0 such that D restricted to U is the graph of a Poisson structure. Okay? Let's prove it. Since D is a vector subbundle, locally it is given by a basis of sections. It's a bundle. Hence, for each x0, there is an open neighborhood U and sections over U, vector fields and forms, such that D of x is the span of these pairs. Okay, my assumption is that the pre-symplectic leaf is a point, and the tangent to the pre-symplectic leaf I know is G1 x0, but that's for 0, it's a point. It follows that all the x is done. There is no x. Okay? So in local coordinates, y with yi of x0 equal to 0, I write that xi is xij dyj, and alpha I is alpha ij dyj. Just write it down. And I look at the matrix that is formed by these coefficients and these coefficients, all of them. This has rank n. Why? Because the rank of D is n. However, this is 0 because the vector fields were 0. We just saw a moment ago. And hence the square matrix alpha ij must have rank n. Right? There's no other way. Well, but if it has rank n is of dimension n, it has to be invertible. So, by continuity, it's invertible in a neighborhood of x0. Let me invert it locally and call the inverse matrix with bars and indices up. Okay? Then for every such I, let me compute this guy on xi and alpha j. Right? I know it's a local section. But what is it? Well, it's very simple. I plug this into what was equal to, and I plug this into what was equal to. So I write it down. So what do I get? Well, sorry, there's not much to say here. This is invertible. This is delta ik. Right? So this is dxi, and this is some junk. Pi ik. ddyk. Therefore, I can take the pairing of any one of those with another one of those. This is what I write here. For I and for j. And I know it's 0. But if it's 0, then this on this plus this on that gives me this. But what's left? I mean, just look. This is delta IL and this is delta jk. It's pi j plus ij. So it's Q-symmetric. Now, define pi to be pi ij dy dyj. Okay? So that's a 2 vector, contravariant 2 vector which is antisymmetric. The graph the graph of pi on u is just d restricted to u by construction. Now, if I take any f to be a local function, which is admissible, that means that xf df is in d where xf is some vector. And this xf I can write it down now because I know that the expression is df dyi pi ik ddyk. Since xf df is equal to, well, I just wrote it down. That's where this expression comes from. Therefore, the Poisson bracket associated to pi satisfies the Jacobi identity because d is integral. So I got this. Now I have to tell you about this. This is always a problem with the life right now. So at least we should understand the statement. This is the most general statement for closed Dirac structures. I take d, so this is the Darboux theorem. I take d, an integrable Dirac structure. Okay, for every m0, there is a coordinate system of x's and y's defined on an open neighborhood u of that point, such that the intersection of u with a presymplectic leaf through m0 is just given by killing the y's. So in other words, it's just the x's. The x's are the presymplectic leaf. And the sections of d over u is spanned by local bases of sections of the following form. So let's look here. So these are vector fields, these are forms. So these vector fields are like this. They are ddxi takes ai, some coefficients, ddy, and here some general form. And this one with y's and some form. They are not general, these forms. Be careful. You see what I'm saying? They're not general at all. Here only one I appears and all the R on all the A's. Right? Here only one B appears and all the X's. Right? Here is general. There is nothing I can do, and here is general, this piece. And in addition to that, of course, this XIF and ZBA vanish at the origin, at the point in question. So, let's see. Should like something to do. How big is this? It's not big. Yes, it's big. Now I'm going to follow me on this one. Okay, let's start next time with this. Okay? This is basically it, what I want to get. Right? It's I have to do slightly more. I mean, I have to tell you more things. For example, the piece of the same time. And then I want to tell you something about algebroids. And then at least I want to tell you something about Hamiltonian systems. That's probably the end of the course. I don't mean, I have more, but I don't think it can be more. I can do, I prepared quite a bit more, but I'm not sure. There's something about Hippo's own spaces, and this is okay. This is not so important. It's interesting, but not so important. What I unfortunately could not do with you is what do you do about symmetries. But you know, we can talk privately about this. So let's stop here, because this is a longer proof, and you should at least see it. You know, this is like that Boolean, and you should see how it's done. Right? I don't know what else to tell you. Notice that there is a long step from here to the one where the point was regular. That was much better. Right? So Q, a P, an S, and an R. Right? I don't have anything like this. Because I can't do it. Like pre-symplectic forms don't have Q's and P's. But if it's regular, I have a symplectic form. I can. So these Y's and X is split further if it's regular. But if it's regular, I give you the theorem. I don't know what else to tell you. Okay, let's stop here.